Boys, we have so much to talk about. There's a lot of good, but there are a lot of red flags between the lies that we also have to mention. So, Take Two Interactive, the owners of GTA, and yes, they are the owners. Rockstar Games is just a subsidiary of Take Two Interactive, and they don't actually own the GTA franchise or even the license. In any case, Take Two removes praise for its LGBTQ efforts from its annual reports, scrubs diversity references. And this is big. A lot of people, including myself, slightly or a lot in some cases, speculated that GTA 6 is pushed back to 2026 because they want to remove a lot of the wokeness from the game. And it seems like they are most likely right. And the reason I say that is because of hugely of what we actually see happening with Borderlands 4 currently, which we're going to get into, and then we're going to talk about what's actually happening with GTA 6. But before all that, the history of this is there's a lot of very sus things happening with GTA 6. Leaks of CEOs going around and saying, oh, you can't put in these things into the story. You can't make side quests. You can't talk bad about certain groups of people, certain kinds of people, and all of that stuff. And needless to say, if you're a GTA fan, then you know that not talking about a certain group of people or ignoring the existence of something is probably what's going to completely ruin the franchise. Because GTA 6 and GTA in general are supposed to be crude games. They are supposed to show reality. They're supposed to mirror it to an awfully high degree. So the idea that there's a protected group of people or whatnot that cannot be mentioned and you can't say bad things about them completely goes against everything that GTA in general is and should be to the fans. And that was the biggest red flag. There were also more minor red flags, but honestly, at this point, I don't honestly think they mattered. In any case, the reason why it seems believable that Take Two is gonna remove a lot of wokeness from the game is, well, for one, what happened with Borderlands 4, because Borderlands is also under Take Two. And, well, this is what they did with Borderlands if you are not aware. This absolute DEI goddamn fiesta was the initial trailer release for the game. These were your characters, okay? We literally have an Indian, a black woman, and a white Norse Viking who's more black than white, and Riri Williams because, I mean, it's the current year, right? And then, and then, this is what they did. Yeah, yeah. Do you want? Do I need to use the pivot tool to compare how this character looks to this? Probably not. And they literally did this to everything. This is your Riri Williams right now. Again, this was her originally, and this is her now. The backlash they got for this trailer to be a DEI shithole was immense. Immense, obviously. And so Rockstar Take Two Interactive did what. Actually, who does the Borderlands 4 franchise? Whatever. But Take Two Interactive took the decision and, kind of minimized it. This is now a Pedro Pascal tone of skin, I should say. Not white, but, kind of close enough. And, this is our lovable, not complete feminist siren right now. Again, the the differences are just on the nose. And yeah, this is what they did because again, everyone was pretty pissed, and now naturally they just added dreads because honestly, why not? But anyway, now into the GTA 6 stuff, and this all ties in. Grand Theft Auto, NBA 2K, and Borderlands publisher Take Two Interactive has deleted references to diversity and inclusivity from annual report to investors this year. And a list of employment awards it boasts about each year no longer include two accolades it was granted for its support of LGBTQ employees. These changes are among the most eyebrow raising in Take Two's voluminous to 2025 10K annual report, which was filed to the Security and Exchange Commission on Tuesday. The changes resembled the disappearance of diversity language from most recent annual reports for some of the America's biggest corporations, including Disney, Google, GM, and Intel. Though those firms deleted or softened their DAI language from their big corporate filings, according to a report from NPR in February. Now, obviously, a lot of this has to do with Trump taking office because he said that he's going to get rid of all these places and positions and whatnot. He's going to make it illegal and blah blah blah. And a lot of companies just changed the names because that's how these things work. They just change the names. And a lot of people think that this is a win. And yes, this is kind of a win. This is a push towards normalcy at the bare minimum, I would say. But you need to understand, okay? I'm going to read forward, and I just want you to remember one thing. Let's do a logic. Let's do a basic logic test, okay? So we have all these companies that hired 90% of people who are DEI, wokies, and political activists, and want to push political activism and messaging in their games. And now suddenly something happens, and they can't do they cannot do it openly because it's bad. It's the culture shifting and whatnot. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. And all of these companies have exactly these kinds of employees. And now they're removing these things, and some people are saying that this is a victory, that this is the change. How can this be the change if no one's getting fired? If 90% of all employees in these companies are, at the bare minimum, supportive to these causes, how can change actually happen if they don't get fired? Yeah, maybe they remove the corporate woke speak, but do you honestly think that these activists are actually gonna stop being activists just because someone told them to stop doing it? No, obviously not. Real change is not gonna happen until they get fired. These companies are still employed and led by these people who want to push these things. Now they're just not talking about pushing them. Now it's just not in the open where we were literally, like roughly 6, 7 years ago. We have just reverted back to that stage where it's not openly known and spouted. And that's pretty much it. Nothing has actually really changed. I know people are pretty happy that this is happening and whatnot, but this is not the big win. Again, the people who made these choices, the people who chose to sacrifice gaming in the name of politics, are still there. They're still running things, and they are still getting support. Now they're just not labeling it over their websites for doing things like that. 10K reports are filed by all public trade companies in the United States to inform investors about its operations. They offer a thorough look at how company defines itself and how its business work. The fact that these things, by the way, need to define itself is so fucking stupid. This is the equivalent of you going to a job interview and getting asked, "Well, where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And your answer should be, "Doing the same job that I applied for because I'm a loser." That should be your answer. This is the higher level definition of it. How its business works, the risk it believes it's facing, how it has performed financially. Take Two has not explained its changes and declined to comment when asked about them by game file. Yes, of course they're gonna decline to talk about this because for the people who know that this is happening, most of them are calling it a win. For the people who are not happy about it, the insane ones, well, declining to comment is obviously the best choice to not create a firestorm. The changes are nevertheless consistent with a company that would want to avoid the attention of the Trump administration. True, again. Now, granted, I'm pretty sure none of this shit matters any longer because again, the threat was to remove federal funding, and Trump's not going to actually do that. He's not going to remove federal funding from companies in America that actually make a lot of money. Again, he literally shook the hand of the Pfizer CEO and said, "Keep up the good job." This was this year, by the way, if you're wondering. In March, the Justice Department and Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, amplifying U.S. President Donald Trump's disdain for DEI, stated that DEI innovatives, policies, programs, and practices may be unlawful if they involve an employer or other covert entity taking an employment action motivated in whole or part by an employee's or applicant's race, sex, or another protected characteristic. Uh, this is a really long-winded way of just saying DEI just favors everyone not white. That's it. That's this whole sentence. Honestly, if you're wondering, it just says, yeah, if you're not white, you have bigger opportunity in DEI companies, and that's obviously not fair. A switch to diversity of thought and no more LGBTQ awards. Okay, take Two's 2024 10K report to investors, and by the way, it's called the 10K report. I don't know why it's called a 10K report, but it's called a 10K report. Okay, it's a report style. Should have probably mentioned at the start where it was first mentioned, but whatever. We mention it now. Okay, big brain. It begins. It began a section titled "Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion" with the sentence. So this was how it was previously. We firmly believe that diverse teams are more valuable and effective, and the diversity is key to our success. By the way, a lot of this shit is taken from a study that literally looked at the top performing companies and looked at them and said, "Holy shit, these companies have black people in them. Mamma mia." And yeah, a lot of the best companies do have a lot of different kind of nationalities and all of that shit because they didn't actually care from where you are. They just cared that you're competent, which meant that if you're whatever, they're gonna take you if you're really, really, really good at your job. They just were searching for the best people for the job, and that report looked at those companies that took the best people for the job and put them in positions where they could perform better and said, "Holy shit, look at that. If we make the company less white, they companies do better." And that was the legitimate report, and that was half and that was a lot of the push to make companies less white, by the way, if you're wondering. A report just made by that. Yeah, that's how easy and stupid these things are. And obviously we know how it ended with a bunch of nothing. In the 2025 version, that section has been relabeled as community and engagement. And the opening line now states, "We firmly believe that diversity of thought drives the innovation that is integral to our success." Yes, there is a change, but trust me, this is not actually a big change. They're just removing all of the language that they could potentially be punished for. This does not actually mean a change. Well, not a true change. Now, I do believe that Take Two is gonna actually do some real changes. They're gonna probably hire some anti-woke firm to come in and scrub all of the gutter trash out because most likely they are 100% changing GTA 6 and removing some woke and adding the crude language back where it should be. Because again, this was Borderlands 4. This is Borderlands 4 now. It only took them literally a week to completely change all these DUI, Riri, William shitty characters and, do what must be done. In any case, that's pretty much it. Bye.